Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Dropping Dimes podcast by J.I. Dime. So, for today's episode, we'll be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, so welcome back to the team preview series of the Dropping Dimes podcast by J.I. Dimes. We are again available on Spotify, Anchor, and on YouTube. You can also follow us on Yes, you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. So for today, as mentioned, we will be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll be dishing out their rosters and my thoughts and predictions for the Cavs on the upcoming 2020-2021 season. Alright, so let us start. Okay, so what were the latest happenings from the Cleveland side? So they acquired JaVale McGee. They also drafted Ike Okoro at number 5, the kid from Auburn. And ironically, they still have Kevin Love. Yes. Remember, he was the first one who wanted out, and here we are. 1 month from 2021, and Kevin Love is still with the Cavs. How ironic. Okay, so let's now go to their stats. Let us start off with this one. Okay, so the Cavs, this is based from the NBA app. Download the NBA app for all the latest scores in games anytime, anywhere. Okay, so last season the Cavs only had a 29.2 winning percentage. They went 19 and 46. And then they were also 15th in the Eastern Conference as they went 12 and 32 against their Eastern Conference rivals. They were also 5th in the Central Division as they only went 4 and 10 against their division rivals. Furthermore, the Cavs also just had an 11 and 25 record at home and an 8 and 21 record on the road. They finished the season with a record of 4 and 6, not bad, almost 500. They lost their last game as well. They weren't invited in the bubble. Now, as per their preseason schedule, they'll be facing the Indiana Pacers. Yes, this will be in Cleveland. And then they'll go to play the Knicks. That will be their last preseason game at the Madison Square Garden. Now let's look at their rosters. Okay, so here are the players of the Cavs. They have Marquise Bolden. They brought back Matthew Dellavedova. They also have Damian Dotson. Andre Drummond decided to come back. And then they still have Dante Exum. Their rookie last year, Darius Garland. And of course, the veteran Kevin Love is still with them. And then who else? So let's check. They also added Thon Maker. Charles Matthews will try to make the team. JaVale McGee acquired from the Lakers. And then they have a guy named Matt Mooney, a guard, Larry Nance Jr., their lottery pick, Ike Okoro, and Cedi Osman. Okay, what else? Next slide, please. Here we go. So they, of Of course, are hoping Kevin Porter Jr. is okay already. Had some issues during the I think that was during the playoffs, right? Or after the final, something like that. So we hope Kevin Porter Jr. is doing well. Colin Sexton has been part of trade rumors, but is still with the team. They also have Lamar Stevens, Dean Wade, Dylan Windler, who didn't play much last year because of injuries, but he was a first round pick as well. And then, of course, Ante Zizic, the only player left from the Kyrie Irving deal. Well, Colin Sexton, technically, but, you know, Ante Zizic, they're still waiting on him to kind of show that so called potential that he had coming from the Boston Celtics. Now, let's proceed. Okay, of course, as for their coach, they will be coached by JB Bickerstaff. The whole, uh, who is their coach? Jim. Sorry, I forgot their coach last year. But then JB Bickerstaff will now be coming in. Their former coach was the coach of Michigan, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of forgot his name. Let me just check if it's still listed. John Beeline. Okay, there you go. John Beeline was their coach last year. He'll be replaced by JB Bickerstaff, the former interim coach of the Houston Rockets and now the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Our storylines for them would be, will Kevin Love stay? Will he be traded? Tristan Thompson is gone already. Colin Sexton has been part of many trade rumors. We don't really know if he's going to be staying, right? And then how will Ike Okoro fit into their team as their lottery pick? Okay, let's now proceed to the stats, courtesy of basketballreference.com for all the in-depth stats. This is the website, the go-to website for all the latest stats, updated stats for that matter. So let's proceed now to the stats of the Cavs. Okay, they were coached by John Beeline, who went 14 and 40, and before being replaced by interim coach JB Bickerstaff, who eventually became named the head coach. Kobe Altman, of course, is their GM. Rankings of the Cavs as a team, not so good. Okay, we'll focus on their team stats. So according to their rankings, offensively, their offensive rating wasn't good at all. Here we go. Let's go to their offensive rating. They were only 25th. And then their defensive rating, they were 29th. Yikes. Their effective field goal percentage, this is offensively, they were 22nd. But then on the defensive end, they were last, 30th. So that means they gave up. Yeah, it was so easy scoring on them. So not so good for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is, of course, backed up by the fact that they were 25th in steals and 30th for last place in blocks. And then regarding to their offense, not so good as well, as they were 26th. 3-point shooting, they were 20th. Field goal percentage, they were 19th in the league. So not so effective numbers for the Cavs. Last year, it was sophomore Colin Sexton who led them in scoring as he averaged 20.8 points per game. Sexton was never really known for his facilitating. He only averaged around 3 assists. Kevin Love at his typical numbers, 17.6 points and 9.8 rebounds. Darius Garland had, a decent rookie year, though he had his struggles as well. Tristan Thompson averaged a double double, but he's already gone. He's now with the Boston Celtics. And then Cedi Osman. Cedi had a decent year, 11 points, 3 boards, 2.4 assists. Of course, they acquired Andre Drummond, who's a double double machine as well. We just don't know if he's really gonna be here or will he just be traded. Larry Nance and Kevin Porter average in double figures. Jordan Clarkson, he was traded to Utah. Of course, they're still hoping maybe Dante Exum can show that potential that, he was a former lottery pick, right? So they're hoping maybe he can step it up, especially with Jordan Clarkson gone. He was the one traded for Jordan Clarkson. So, of course, the big thing here for the Cavs, especially given the fact that they didn't really have a good season, they were also just 23rd when it comes to their pace, which is ironic because they are a very young team. So you would expect that maybe they should be doing more running instead of just trying to, slow down the pace. Now let's go to our thoughts. Okay, thoughts and predictions for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the only, I mean, we all know it's still a rebuilding process for them. At least Colin Sexton showed that he can produce numbers. I just don't know how that dynamic would work because they did draft Darius Garland as well last year. So I don't really know how that's going to work. And so they probably would trade Colin Sexton. I'm not going to be surprised if that happens. Kevin Love as well. Now that the veterans of the championship team are gone, I'm expecting Kevin Love to be dealt sooner rather than later. Andre Drummond as well, who surprisingly picked up his option, but it was more of a business decision. So will he be traded? Will he be waived? We don't know. So for the Cavs, I don't see them, as much as I'm a big fan of Ike Okoro, I just don't really see them making the playoffs. Seems like they will still be where they were at last year. The only good thing is that Kobe Altman has been able to get a lot of these future second round picks. Maybe hopefully this year he can get more first round picks so that they can really rebuild the team. Well, it's always been like this for the Cavs, especially after losing a guy named LeBron James. Always trying to bounce back from it, but well, they lost like arguably the greatest of all time for some, right? So that's not really an easy thing. They also lost Kyrie Irving, didn't really get anything back except for Sexton, and then if Zizic maybe shows some of that potential, but that still remains to be seen. Okay, so I'm not expecting the Cavs to be making it to the playoffs. My predictions is that they will still be either the last place in the Eastern Conference or maybe second to the last or third to the last. That's not going to change a lot. The only good thing is that at least the 2021 draft is a loaded draft. Uh, the Cade Cunninghams of the world, the Jalen Greens of the world are there, right? The BJ Boston is there. So there's really some prospects that you can look at, if that's the goal. And maybe add on to that young core of theirs. So that's it for our team preview on the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you like the episode, please do not forget to like. Feel free to comment your thoughts, to share the video, and to also subscribe. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and to hit on the notification bell. Okay, so with that, thank you, and we'll see you again on the next episode of the Dropping Dimes podcast. This is J.I. Dimes signing off. Keep safe, everyone.